Dr. Charles Jacobs, who is president of the American Anti-Slavery Group. He's from Boston, Massachusetts. Mr. Francis Bach, associate of the American Anti-Slavery Group in Boston. If you two gentlemen will have a seat, and if you will proceed, we have one more panel after you. And
Yep. Thank you.
But I will say to you, Dr. Jacobs, that's a hard act to follow, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah. So you may proceed, and we're delighted that you came this morning and appreciate your coming.
Thank you so much, Senator Helms, Senator Brownback. I'm here today to present to the committee Francis Bach, the first escaped slave from Sudan who we have found who speaks English and can speak both as an eyewitness and survivor of slave raids and of human bondage in Africa's largest nation. Permit me first a few preparatory remarks, short. Immediately before this hearing, I'd like you to know that the most senior members of the African American community in this nation joined with us in a press conference to announce the birth of the 21st century's abolitionist movement. We had Congressman from the Congressional Black Caucus leader Donald Payne and Eleanor Holmes Norton. We had former Representative Walter Fauntroy, who was the man who organized Martin Luther King's March on Washington. We had Joe Madison, who has just returned, a radio talk show host in D.C., who has just returned with John Ivner from redeeming 4,400 people in Sudan. We have statements from Dick Gregory and from Coretta Scott King. This changes everything, senators. This changes everything. We now have a national abolitionist movement of liberals and conservatives, Democrats and Republicans, blacks and whites, Christians, Jews, and Muslims. We are very proud of this, and I want to thank you for helping us make this happen. Next, we heard yesterday that Secretary of State Albright will meet with us this afternoon. We'll meet with Barbara Vogel and her children and her students, and with Francis and myself. If we're here today to explore how we can help Francis's people, then Congress, and specifically the Senate, can do three things. First, a little-known provision of the House Resolution 4868, which passed this July, lifts sanctions on gum arabic, which is Sudan's major export. Gum arabic is found in such products as Mountain Dew and M&Ms. There is no reason in the world why lobbyists for that product and for these products can convince the American people that we ought to buy products from slaving nations. An article today in the Washington Post by Congressman Menendez says, sorry, it's true, no one should do business with thugs, but if they control the product that we can't seem to live without, what can we do? The answer is they don't control. We let them control that product. We have not developed gum arabic in other places, and specifically in South Sudan, where Francis's people can grow all the gum arabic we need. So with a little investment, I propose that we free ourselves from slave products and help the people of South Sudan build an economy. Secondly, millions of Americans have been made inadvertent partners to slavery and slaughter in Sudan because their pension funds or their mutual funds contain the stock of Talisman Energy. Talisman of Canada is helping Khartoum steal the oil from under the feet of these people in the South, export it, and with the profits, they brag, continue their holy war against Francis's people. Why should Americans have in their stock portfolios, unbeknownst to them, slave stock? We know that we have led, along with Eric Reeves, a professor of Smith College, a divestment campaign against Talisman, and we can win. We have gotten TIAA-CREF, the world's largest pension fund, to divest completely. Last week, the city of New York divested its worker pension fund of Talisman. The state of New Jersey, Donald Payne's state, divested. The state of California, the Texas Teachers Retirement Fund, divested. But Congress must also act, and I know that this committee, in the course of passing the Sudan Peace Act, confronted the issue of capital market sanctions against those participating in Sudan's Greater Nile Project. Denying them a New York Stock Exchange listing would bring powerful pressure to bear, which would be acutely felt. Finally, there is a regional drought now in Sudan. The people of South Sudan may once more become purposely starved. As you know, the UN flights, aid flights under Operation Lifeline Sudan are controlled by Khartoum, and that arrangement starves purposely 100,000 people in 1998, according to the U.S. Committee on Refugees. We don't yet have pictures of starving people. Let's not wait. We need to give direct aid to the people of South Sudan, direct food and medical aid. We can give it to the NGOs that operate outside the UN Khartoum program, like Norwegian People's Aid. We can give it directly to the civil society in the South so that they can take care of their own health and education and relief efforts. We can give it directly to the churches in Sudan. We must break this food blockade. And finally, the people this morning with whom we met, the coalition with the Black Caucus, backs us 100% on this. We are pleased to note that Secretary of State Albright is lobbying against the UN giving a seat on the Security Council to Sudan. This must never happen. This must never happen. They don't deserve a seat at that table. Finally, we call upon the President to break his silence in Sudan. He must not leave office without having said the truth about human bondage in Africa's largest nation. Now, I'm honored to present to the committee Francis Bach of South Sudan, a man who values freedom so much that he risked his life 3 times to be free of bondage. The American Anti-Slavery Group found Francis in Ames, Iowa, a refugee. We brought him to Boston, where he works with us and goes to school full-time. Like Frederick Douglass before him, Francis is using his freedom to help his people. He speaks to congregations and churches and in community centers around the nation. Today, he speaks to you, the leaders of a nation that tore itself apart over the issue of one man owning another. Francis is a lucky man. Most boys captured in Sudan, when they reach puberty and develop musculature, have their throats cut. Francis is a miracle that he is here. And that's one reason why the American Anti-Slavery Group, in the face of criticism, continues to help our brave, brave, brave partners of Christian Solidarity International fly to Sudan and redeem people. They have taken over 35,000 women and children from out of the hands of monsters. I would like to say that I'd like to acknowledge the presence here today of the world's most precious abolitionist, John Eibner of CSI. John is behind me. John risks his life time and time again to run the CSI Underground Railroad, and we stand by his side. We take Francis's presence here, again, as miraculous, and we hope you see in him the spokesman of an entire people on whom the world has turned its back. Thank you.
Thank you.